Hey, I'm Tahali Nichols. I'm the Executive Director of NextGen 302, and I'm here with the Father's Coach, Kevin Kelly. Tap in.
A little known fact. In 2006, Kevin L. Kelly, I was invited to the James T. Vaughn Correctional Facility in Smyrna, Delaware. It was a blessing in disguise. I thought I was going there to do a presentation, but I was going there to actually live life and meet some friends forever. What happened while I was there, I met a lot of good brothers. Let me back up. When I was there, what we were doing life skills, and some churches were going there, they were doing Bible studies, but that was not my goal. That was not my assignment. My assignment was to do soft skills and to walk people through life, walk brothers through life. Them brothers was like my uncles, my cousins, my brothers. They was good brothers, and sometimes some of us make mistakes, some of us get caught, and they're just mistakes. We are not our mistakes. Today's episode is on teen violent crime. Violent crime, teens. We normally don't talk about that. We normally talk about the good stuff, the massaging stuff. But this time we're gonna talk about the real stuff that's undercover, the heart to heart. So I have a award-winning good brother, my brother here, Brother Tahali Nichols, and he's my guest today. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna chop it up. We're just gonna chop it up. We're gonna share some things. We're gonna share some sides of the Father's Coach that a lot of people don't know. Welcome to the Father's Coach podcast. Welcome back to the Father's Coach podcast. Here's my guest, Brother Tahali Nichols.
How you doing, man?
Man, you do so much. Oh my God. I can't tell the audience what you do. You do so much. Would you tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Tahali Nichols. I'm the Executive Director of NextGen 302, which is a youth violence prevention program. I also am the coordinator for Kent and Sussex County for an organization called Network Connect, where I have the opportunity to assist people with resources. And prior to that, I was the systems navigator for Delaware Center for Justice, where I had the opportunity to help people get second chances. And as you know, I'm a big champion for second chances. Where would I be without a second chance? And for people to take an opportunity on me. So I purposely hire people that have lived experience and not just ones that don't have the lived experience.
Wow. I love some of the stories. Man, I know I've seen you throughout the state. We are in northern part of the state now. I've seen you throughout the state just doing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeing you through a lot of different organizations, seeing different functions, and you're making an impact. So that's why we brought you here to share with the FCC community, Father's Coach community, some of the things that you do. I know you impact kids. I impact kids too, but share how you impact kids in the community.
Well, it started actually from an idea when I first left incarceration, and as what most people won't know is that I met this brother. I was one of the brothers that he had the opportunity to meet. Young kid, maybe 21 or 22 years old, and he was coming into the prison to, mentor and show us that never lived a life outside of crime, some different ways, and make some adjustments to our character. So he started being a mentor to me then, right?
Wow.
And you may not know how much of my journey, like you're one of the people that actually influenced some of my journey coming along the way to make me make some of the changes, because the mentality of change started, when I was incarcerated. The brother that started the program with me, Coley Harris.
Honcho,
Coley Harris and Honcho, but definitely Coley was definitely 100% was somebody that was a great influence on me, and which why we started the My Brother's Keeper program, which was incarcerated. So the idea of giving back to the adolescents and the youth started then, right? Where we wanted to partner older prisoners, men that had been in prison for 20 years, 30 years, 60 years, right? Because we had people that was really in prison for 40 years, right? And then we had young kids that was coming in, such as myself, with 30-year sentences and 50-year sentences and life sentences. And at that time, if you got to make a decision, right? You just say, yo, listen, man, I got a life sentence. I got 40 years. I'm either going to just, I'm going to just go with the norms. I'm going to gamble all day. I'm going to, chase the girly books, and I'm going to, whatever a person's advice is, or you can say, yo, I'm going to figure this out, right? If I do have an opportunity to get out, I want to be ready for it. Because sometimes the opportunity come and it's just like, yo, wait till I get home. And then the opportunity presents itself and you don't know what to do with it. And then that's why the recidivism starts, because the mentality wasn't starting to change, right? You didn't know what you was going to do when your opportunity presented itself. And through that program that you came and participated in, My Brother's Keeper, was one of the programs that helped me start saying, let me be prepared for the opportunity in the event that I am released from prison, right? So after doing 20 years in prison, I was eventually released, right? At times where, didn't think I was going to get there. So now here we are, that opportunity, that second chances, where I'm saying, let me not blow this thing. Let me not play a bunch of games and be one of the people that wasn't prepared for the opportunity and take advantage of the things that's going on out here. So that's how we got there. Going back to the original question, I'm sorry about that.
That's all good. This is good.
But it started, man, when I first came home, I had an opportunity to work as just a mentor, right? Not getting no real money. Just the same brother that mentored me in prison, Coley, barked me under his wing and was like, man, I got a spot for you over here. This was during COVID, right? So it wasn't no job opportunities. I told him I'm ready to go work at ShopRite and, move some boxes. He said, nah, you're not going to ShopRite, man. You got too much experience, too much knowledge for me to let you sit at ShopRite. I can't pay you much. Sit in this gym over here in the 19805 area code. We was on Sycamore Street. And he was like, the kids was coming in doing their schoolwork and stuff. And from soon as I came home, they started adapting to me, right? So as soon as when they started adapting to me, I started talking. I'm meeting, parents. I'm talking to them because not only are they with me all day through school, right? The after school program is a gym. Yeah. So in the gym, I'm playing ball with them. Because I'm on house arrest at the time. I ain't got nowhere to be. I ain't got nothing to do but sit here and play with these young men all day. So, we exercised and then I always, was into fitness and things of that nature. So I had started my first LLC, which was Flex Kings Training.
I remember that.
Right. So I was, charging people to train to work out. But what ended up happening is I started being around the youth so much that I'm like, man, why don't I just focus on doing exercises and routines with the youth, right? Opposed to focus on the adult population. And then I'll use it as, not only am I going to train them, but I'm also going to use this time as a place to bond with them. So we'll work out, we'll play basketball, we'll do push-ups. I had the boxing program started, and they were not only working out and exercising, healthy, right? They were also opening up. They were telling me about their life, what was going on, what were some things, what were some mistakes. Because, when I tell them, man, I just came home from doing 20 years, they're like, whoa, what you do? The next question is, what you do?
Yeah,
right? So when I tell them, yo, listen, man, I was a part of gun violence, right? So that's why I'm able to speak to y'all from the space, right? I've been a part of that already, right? I contribute to the negativity of the communities. I was selling drugs at 10 and 11 years old. I was running around with guns at your age. So this isn't an unfamiliar space when y'all come in here and talk to me about certain things. Yeah. So that was developed with Flex Kings Training. So we started doing that and really, really just doing our thing, Flex Kings Training. And then what ended up happening, the further along, trying to skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to back it up. I'll back it up. When you keep going, I'm going to back you up a little bit.
All right, so we doing the Flex Kings Training, and we were doing, a woman that I was dating at the time, right? And, eventually I ended up having kids by this woman and end up, being my significant other. So what ended up happening was I was coaching a basketball game down there at the 76ers Fieldhouse, right? I got these young men, they between the ages of, 8 to 11 years old. So I took a bunch of kids. They never played organized basketball. They don't know what they on there. They cussing the refs out. As soon as when they get there, they cussing the refs out. They talking back to me. They're not trained to play, professional, or under the whistle, right? They from under the bridge. But I got them all, right? So by the third game, they started to gel a little bit. So I was trying to get one of the young men to listen to me. So one of the older teenagers that was like 17 or 18 years old, he said, hey, Mr. Tahali, I got this, man. Back up for a minute. Let me talk to him. So I said, man, yeah, because he ain't listening. I'm thinking, the way I'm telling him, right, is what's going on. And I stepped out the young man's way, right? He's 17, I want to say at the time. So he goes tell the 11-year-old, hey, man, when this is how you set a screen, and when you do that, you shoot. One of y'all set the screen, you cut to the basket. He said the same exact thing I was saying.
Yeah.
The same exact thing. The difference was the kid was able to relate more and accept it more because he was ready to grow up to be him. He wasn't ready to grow up to be me.
Yeah.
Right? You don't jump from 11 to 39. You jump from 11 to 17.
Right.
Right? It's steps in this.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, I said, oh.
You might have some father issues.
They can have a bunch of different issues, but the reality of it is, I realized the generation gap has started. I'm not 25 no more. Right? I'm not 17 no more. This 11-year-old is looking at me like a grandfather, not a dad. He's like, what Pop-Pop talking about, right?
You're a little gray there too.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he's like, yo, what Pop-Pop talking about? Opposed to this young man who's still in high school.
Yeah.
They in elementary school, ready to go to middle school. They saying, yo, I'm gonna grow up and be him. They won that game.
Yeah, they want that game.
And from that point on, I said, it's time for me to get out the way. It's time for me to start passing the baton, but I have to give the next generation
the baton.
Gotta pass it. Give it to the next generation of leaders so they can train the next generation of leaders. So instead of me trying to mentor and be everybody's dad, I just need to focus on the core group that's right underneath me and let them give back, and then let that group give back. Right? So now the knowledge is going to continue. Like,
that's wisdom.
I can't get to the 8-year-old, but this 16-year-old can get to this 8-year-old.
Or the 20-year-old.
Or the 20-year-old, right? So that's what Flex King's training started. And then the idea for the nonprofit started coming about between my wife and I. And it was like, yo, we can, really do some stuff because you got it. But you're not dumb no more. Get out the way, right? So I got out the way. And then we developed NextGen 302, and the rest was history after that, right?
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Part of your development is so good. May not felt good, may have been inconvenience in your journey and everything, but it was good because of the impact that you had. So how many people impacted your life? I know you said Cody, right? And you also said Honcho.
Yeah.
Honcho, they impacted you. Anybody else impacted your life? Besides me, I impacted his life too. He said I impacted him.
Yeah.
So that was like 18 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
18 years. Yeah. 18 years ago when I met him. I met him 18 years ago.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It seems surreal, right?
It does.
So it seems very surreal. I don't know if I can actually count the amount of people and blessings that came apart my life, right? I don't even want to start naming people, and then somebody get forgot and be like, yo, like it's been that many people that had curved. I remember reaching 30 years old specifically though, and I was in a shoe, right? I got caught with a cell phone in prison, like, everybody else. I never seen a cell phone. Like, but when I went to prison, it was, little, beepers, you know what I mean? We had beepers and stuff. So, I'm fascinated with the cell phones. I got the cell phone and I'm calling people. I'm just happy to be playing on Facebook. It wasn't even on Instagram, or maybe it was, I don't know, but I get caught with the phone. So I had to go to the Supermax, right? So I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to start my sentence all over. They stopped my sentence immediately.
They stopped it.
They stop your sentence. When you catch a new charge in prison, they stop your sentence. They stop your sentence and you have to start serving the sentence that you got locked up. I mean, the sentence that you caught the new charge under. So if you catch an assault on the cop, I had a person prohibited charge, prison contraband. They stopped my sentence and made me serve the prison contraband sentence. So now I'm no longer even doing what I was locked up for. I'm no longer doing that time. I am doing.
How long was that?
It was a year.
So you had to do a year for being caught with the cell phone.
So I did end up doing 3 years in Supermax, Max, then the flow down to the mill, the shoe and all that stuff. But in the process of that, I met a guy, and you don't have cellies in the back, right? So whoever is in my event with me, if he's in the event with me, I consider him my cellie. So he'd get up in the event, yo, what you doing over there? And we talking through the event. And this was, an older brother. He had did a bunch of time in California, came back. They shipped him out of Delaware, brought him back to Delaware, shipped him out again. They just was ringing him around, but really, really older, intelligent Muslim brother. And we used to play chess, yelling out the pieces, right? We had pieces out of different instruments that we created, a king and a queen on, and you would just move your pieces, right? So we just, drew the letters on a piece of paper, and then you move your pieces like, yo, A24, B6, and then you play chess like that. So that was how we kept our minds sharp, and then we would work out. yo, listen, because when we go into the yard, it's a gate, we work out. But anyway, him and I was talking, and I'm like 30, 31 at the time, and I think I got it. I really think I got it. And we were talking one day, he told me, and there was a little piece of information he gave me, and he said, man, he was a goddamn fool.
Yeah.
And I said, man, you talking to, man, you know, I'm combative now, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, brother, listen. And then he started breaking certain things down to me in a language that I was understood.
Okay.
So he was able to appeal to my intellect, right? So I had to separate the emotions as focusing on what he was actually saying.
That's good. That's good.
And when I focused on what he was actually saying, I made another shift in my life. I'm like, damn, I thought I had it. Now this was after.
Would you mind? Could you share that? Would you mind sharing that, or is it too?
The information was a little personal, right? Information was a little personal. It was a him and me thing, right?
I got you.
And you know, and he broke it down to me why I thought I was in the place where I was going at, but I wasn't.
Okay.
And when he finished talking, I started listening more. And then when I started listening more, I started learning more. So I left out of the shoe with a whole new perspective. I had a whole new vision on tolerance and what you were supposed to be doing. And so now I went to the shoe.
Does it sound like purpose?
Definitely a purpose.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And we shared the same fundamental beliefs, right? So he was a Muslim, I'm Muslim. So we had shared a lot of fundamental beliefs. So at the core of it, we never can argue because, you know, we believe, you know, in Islam, you say, you take it back to the book and its messenger. So you take it back to the Quran and you take it back to the hadiths, right? What did the law say? I forget what you're talking about. What did the law say on a subject like this?
And that resolves all.
Why are you arguing with me? Because I ain't tell it to you. The Quran said that. The hadith said that. The Rasulullah said that. So once he started, so our conversations would be like, hold on, I hear what you're saying, but let's take it to the proofs. Let's take it to where what you say you believe in, and then that's going to be the ruling.
And that shifted you.
That shifted me, and we started having little conversations about little things and what was fundamental and what wasn't fundamental, what was good, wasn't good, and we were able to take that and create a new version of Tahali. And that new version of Tahali was a better version that I wanted to shoot with.
Tahali 2.0?
Maybe 4.0, man. You know, I went through a lot of changes, right? I went to prison when I was 17.
Yeah, wow.
Right? So I went through a lot of changes. I locked up 16 with the prison. I was 17. I went through a lot of changes.
So could this brother fathered you? You think he fathered you at that?
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely was a father figure.
Yeah.
Definitely was a role model and a father figure for me, for sure. Because, you know, just, you know, before prison, like I was in a situation where, you know, my father went to prison. I was 10 years old.
You was right? Okay.
When my father was coming out of prison, I was in prison. So we talking about from 1993, 94. I didn't see my father again until 2021.
Did you visit him?
I was when I was younger. No, maybe once or twice.
Okay.
Not a lot of memories of visiting him in prison. So I got one memory that I could think of, and I can remember a jail phone call that I could think of is the only two memories of his time of incarceration, right? Because again, he missing a real integral part of my life. Yeah. 10 to 14 for a young boy,
yeah,
that ain't no game. 10 to 14 for a young man is not no game. That is not the stage that you can afford to lose your young men in. That is the stage where them brains they hardened up, they turning from mush, and they starting to feel like they got something,
yeah,
right? And then if you don't develop that part right there correctly,
adolescence,
that real wire. You ever seen a real wire and a blue wire, and you touch them together, they create a spark.
Yeah,
right. So they at that age where they just sparking all the time, like that real wire and that blue wire touching, they just sparking all the time because they're at that age where they're consistently sparking.
There was no guidance. There was no guardrails. No guidance, no guardrails.
There's nothing.
So you was raised by your mom?
I was raised by my mother, my grandmother. So I had, my grandmother on my mother's side. She played a part, and my mom now, unfortunately, she was addicted to crack cocaine, right? So that guidance wasn't there. You know, my father, before he went to prison, he was addicted to crack cocaine, right? So then you got his mom, who got 2 boys, my dad and his brother, and then 1 girl, right? There were 3 boys, right? And then 1 girl. They all were addicted to crack cocaine. So on that side of my family, on my father's side, I'm dealing with that. And then on my mom's side, my grandmother's getting high, right? So I'm dealing with that. Then my mom's sisters is getting high. Then also the village ain't around.
Okay.
The village ain't around to protect and guide me the right way, right? So what does that happen? That tells
the spark that you was talking about.
That spark. And what happens if it spark too much? It becomes a short. It don't even work no more, right? You plug it in and get a little energy and then it dies out. The spark creates a shortage.
You know what's funny? Because people will say in those type of situations, they'll be like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? What's wrong with them? You're like, no. What happened to them?
Absolutely.
Is the question.
Absolutely.
What happened to them?
And we know that in trauma-informed care,
Yep.
which like when we start getting into that, which is things that I've learned, because I didn't even know that until I got out of prison, about trauma-informed care, right? And I got with a woman by the name of Dr. Terry Lawler, and she was acting as my psychologist and my mother and all of that at the same point in time, right? When I first got out of prison.
Wow.
And she started breaking it down when I started working for Network Connect about trauma-informed care. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things was the very first thing I learned. People don't worry about what happened to him.
Yeah.
What happened to him? Ain't nothing was wrong when something happened to make him act that way or make her act that like that red and that blue wire. It touched, it sparked, right? And some people don't even know what the core issue of that stuff is because we start locking it away, right?
Yeah.
We all do that. We all got the
defense mechanism. Rehab. There's no rehab.
You lock that stuff
away. You just putting them back, put them over there, put them in the basement type of thing. That's no, this is a human.
Absolutely.
It's a human. This person is a human. And look at you now impacting the youth. I celebrate you. That's why you're here. That's why I want you here talking with the FCC community, because you're impacting the youth. You're making a difference. I'm not going to call you a survivor. No, you navigated through life. You navigated through life, and look at you now, man. Yo, I'm you, my dude.
Appreciate that, man.
You, my dude. Could you share this the bus ride? I think is NextGen to the Could you share that?
Yeah. So again, NextGen is a violence prevention program that I've had the opportunity to start, direct, and interact with adolescents between the ages of 8 and 17. So we're going through our first cycle of the funding. We in cohort 2 right now. So we moving along, right? So right now our program is housed in Kent County in Dover, Delaware. Mm-hmm. The intentions is to definitely go statewide. And what we're doing right now, we had the opportunity to take these kids that never been out. Some of these kids were on the bus, right? They had never left Dover, Delaware, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm talking about before that, took them to a Phillies game, right? Mm-hmm. We all went to a Phillies game. They like, man, we ain't never been, where we at? Took them to Hershey Park, where we at, right? Wow. And I mean, it's kids on the bus. You could see the excitement because at the core of it, they just want to be kids. Yeah. Their environments, their families, is not allowing them to always be kids. So now you got a 12-year-old that has to be 17 or 18, right? Yeah. You got a 10-year-old that has to be, they're forced to grow up, so they don't even get a chance to experience childhood, right? So one of the people, the kids that we target in our program are children that are affected by gun and gang violence. Mm-hmm. That's who we target. We want the kids that's getting put out of school. Yeah. We want the kids that, like one of the young ladies that's in the cohort right now, she is 13. She just turned 14 years old. She has a 6-month-old child. Right? This girl don't know how to be a mom.
She don't know how to be a kid.
She don't know how to be a kid, right? So last week in the group, she was like, I'm coming. I couldn't come to group because I had watched my baby. My mom wouldn't let me come. I said, bring your baby to group.
Yeah.
I'll watch her. I'll hold her while you go do your lessons and do that. I'll watch her. That baby need Pampers. We got it. Don't you run around here and depend on nobody. We got this.
I call myself the Father's Coach. Everybody call me the Father's Coach. These organizations like this is the Father's Coach. You are fathering the community.
We trying.
You're fathering the
Appreciate it.
Man, that's amazing. I want to read this. In 2021, there were about 123,000 serious violent crimes committed by youths between the ages of 12 and 17. We talked about that, 12 and 17, those sparks, right? In the United States, an increase from the year before. However, this is still a significant decrease from 1994, when violent crimes committed by youths hit a peak over 1.5 million serious crimes. Do you see more crimes committed in the community by that ages, 12 to 17, or a little higher?
Yeah. No, I think that is the crimes. Like when you get a little older, you experience prison a little bit. You're not as quick to pull the trigger, right?
Right.
So my biggest thing with all young men and young women is I say this: at a certain age, you're not an adult. No, I'm grown. You're not grown, and I'm gonna tell you why. You have not have the cognitive, the ability to assess consequences.
Right.
That's what makes you a child. You don't have the cognitive ability to assess consequences.
That's it.
Right? Because if you could assess consequences, then you would know I cannot ride with a loaded 40 caliber gun and go down the street.
No, especially with emotions running wild.
I can't do that.
Emotions running wild, and you got a hot piece on you.
And you don't even know how to control your emotions. You don't know how to control your emotions. You get mad when the teacher tell you read a book in school.
Right.
Yo, take your hoodie off. You don't know how to follow simple directions.
Right.
Right? And then keep in mind, you're a child. So that means you don't experience what? Real responsibilities.
Right.
So you don't know nothing about managing a checkbook or a Cash App account or managing what? A mortgage, right? So you look up and you say, hey man, my mom been paying rent. Your mom been on Section 8 her whole life. The goal is that you learn about financial wealth. My teens went to a financial wealth class last week, right? And the lady was, she gave them a little book and was like, look, you save $1 a day, you get $2, mark it off. They think it's a game, man. I know how to save money, right? So when they saying that, I'm telling them, well, everybody show me $20 right now. Because I'm pretty sure all of you had it before. Everybody in this room has had $20 before.
Yeah.
Can everybody show me $20? Not 1,000, not 500. Man, I got it on Cash App. But somebody said, man, I got $18 on Cash App right now. $18. And you telling me you're not to save money. I'm pretty sure your mother has given you money, your uncles, your friends. Some of y'all are old enough to get little jobs now, right? You don't know how to maintain money because you haven't learned to respect it yet.
And you're teaching them discipline about saving. You're teaching them discipline. So with someone who have issues and raised with those type of challenges, how long do you think it would take a young man, 12 years old, let's put it this way, to get a clue, to understand?
That is a tough question. Did you not hear me say earlier?
How long?
The light turned on for me at 30. I thought I had it.
That's where I'm going.
I thought I had it. I thought I understood at 30 years old, another light bulb. And I said, man, I don't got it.
So now you're reaching those kids now so they won't have to get it at 30.
Ideally, right? That's the ideally. Ideally, we want to work because we know men, peers, I'm pretty sure you're a little bit more seasoned than me, but I'm pretty sure if you've ran across, go to a high school reunion or something, right?
Yeah.
And you got some guys that are like, oh, bro, what happened to you, right?
Yeah.
Right? Some of them fell victim to the bottle. Some people fell victim to drugs. Some people bad. It's so many different ways that life can play out, right? Life can play out in so many ways. That's why we got to thank the Most High for the blessings that we do get, right?
Thank God every day.
You got to.
And throughout the day.
Remember it. You have to remember this stuff because here's the thing. You meet some of your friends. I'm like people that I knew before I was incarcerated. When I stand in next to them sometimes or they speak to me and I'm looking, I'm like, whoa. Right? My cousin, I got a cousin that was like my best friend growing up, right? He didn't go to prison. He been on the streets the whole time I was in prison, and during that time and all that time, he was home. When I got out, I barely recognized him. I'm like, whoa.
It's like you was preserved going through your journey.
He was out here on this rough life, right? Because while I was incarcerated, our grandmoms was dying and our dads was still getting high and all that. He had to live through that.
He had to live through that. So when he say certain things like, man, you act like I was out here just living my best life. I wasn't living my best life, man. I was surviving. And thinking about the compassion that you have for him, that we have for them. It's not about let's see somebody making bad decisions. I'm like, okay, well, let's find out what's up with this situation. Maybe we can help. You know how you have these communities and they say that we adopt this family, or we adopt these kids for Christmas, or we adopt them for Thanksgiving. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. But what about October 15th? What about January 3rd? You know what I'm saying? It's more than just the holidays.
Yeah, there's more to it.
It's more than just a holiday.
And I think what happens is people do that for attention, right? Like,
or to get metrics for their nonprofit organizations, so they can get funded. I shouldn't say this on air, but so they won't get nonprofit organizations.
So I'm telling you, playing games.
This made, I'm gonna be careful how I say this. So when I was going to James T. Vaughn, I was invited to James T. Vaughn by Pastor Patterson, because he was good friends with Miss Patricia May. Patricia May. So I went in there a couple of times, and I was invited. I went there. It wasn't about getting grant money and stuff like that. No. It's not getting paid. No, not getting paid. No. Do you have passion for people? Is that your calling? It was my calling. It was my calling to meet you. It was my calling to share. It's my calling to impact. That's one of my core values. One of my core values is teaching and to empower. So that's why I was there. Now, it wasn't about me. Yeah, I had my business. My business was, at that time, was B&B Group Concepts. That was my business. And so everything was packaged, right, to go to these Fortune 500 companies to make money. And I was going to do my thing, training and everything. They weren't popping. You know what popping? That phone call by Clarence Patterson. I went in there and I fell in love with brothers. Ain't no funny business with me. I'm talking about I fell in love with impacting men and impacting young guys or whatever. And I was doing it even in the church too. There were some people in the church that had some bad situation at that time. Brother was in and out of detox or whatever. Around that time, 2004, 2003 and stuff like that. I was helping him. He was calling me 3:00 in the morning. Hey, Brother Kev, can you go get me? I'm on such and such street in Wilmington. I was like, okay. That's why I was living up here. I was like, okay. And the next Friday night or Saturday night, he'll call me. I'm like, listen, brother, call me before you get high. Call me before you get high. So that was my life. It was my passion. My wife was like, you go hang out again? Oh, yeah. Go find this dude so he can have a place to stay. Find somewhere. And that's why I end up meeting not just only Patricia May, but Miss, Prison Minister of Delaware.
Faith Whittle.
I met her about a month.
I forgot about Miss Whittle, man. Faith Whittle, yeah.
I met her, and then after I met Miss Faith Whittle, they invited me to their board. I became a board member of their Prison Ministry of Delaware. They was going to shut it down the next year. I said, don't shut it down. You guys are making an impact. We're doing the reentry program. We're doing all this kind of stuff. So what I end up doing is, I said, listen, don't get away. Don't get rid of this organization. They was like, why? I said, because there's some brothers out there and there's some sisters that was down the street at the women's prison. Mm-hmm. I said, we're making an impact with them. We got some women going in there. And they was like, well, Kevin, if you're going to, since you say that, you take the organization. This was 2007, 2008. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, I'll take it. So I became the executive director of Prison Ministry of Delaware, even though her and her husband had owned it, but her husband had passed away. So she was still the president, but I was the executive director.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that happened.
So 2008 to 2016, I was there. I was trained by Prison Fellowship. So I wasn't just going there with everything that I knew already. I had to be trained in reentry training, mentor training, even though I had other mentoring training and all that kind of stuff. But I shifted more into what they considered prison mindset, prison culture type of thing. That's why. And plus, I'm a brother from around the way, so North Jersey. So I know how to navigate through situations. But it was my call. It was my passion. That's how I met you and all the other brothers. So it wasn't just me trying to fund my pockets and my business. It was a passion. I'm trying not to cry because this is real. This is real. God's greatest commodity is people. It ain't the house, cars, and land. Yeah, God bless you with that if you can handle it, if you can handle the payments type of thing. But it's about people. God's greatest commodity is people. And I'm so passionate. I don't mean to be preaching and yelling on this camera, but this is my heart. That's my passion. And I wanted you to know that. Thank God I have you here. I get to share that because I remember during that time there was a lot of people who were spiritual people. They were going in prisons and they were going in trying to get grants to do this, to do that, and the other. Like, nah, you don't even. Were you even trained? Do you even know people? Do you know the demographics of people? No, that's my heart. So before, when I met you before, I was a man of God, but now I'm a pastor and I got my own sheep. So I have the same compassion I share with people in the community. I do it in the schools and everything. This is Kevin Kelly, man. Even though I had to share that. This is not about me. It's about me bringing you here. But I wanted to share that so that you hear my heart as well.
Appreciate that, man. Because I got some good information, stuff I did not know. I knew you was out here working.
Yeah.
I knew you was out here I knew you was out here, continuing to do good work, man. But it's just good to hear that the mission has not changed.
The mission has not changed.
And that's always a delight to hear. Some of the experiences that kind of similar but different is that people out here are doing the same things, right? They chasing the bag, right?
Chasing the bag.
So you're running around, you got these organizations, you get funded, and you're stealing resources from your community because now, you're supposed to be, preventing shootings, or you're supposed to be doing this type of work or that type of work, and you got the funding, and then you don't go out and do the actual work. You're just taking a check. But meanwhile, we're losing these young men and women. Casualties, man. And I remember it's something else I kind of forgot, but I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Yasir Payne, and we did an interview, a gun violence called Got the Hammer on Me from the University of Delaware. And we interviewed 150 young men that were affected by gun violence inside of the city of Wilmington between the ages of 14 to 24. 150 young men. I had the privilege to be on 129 of them interviews.
Wow.
I had a privilege to be in over 129 interviews. Out of that group that we interviewed, the 129 people, while we were doing the interviews, one young man was murdered, right? Since then, we probably lost about 5 or 6 of them, right?
Okay.
We were trying to save them then, but we was also trying to get to the core because it was anonymous, right?
Yeah.
So everybody was in the system as a number. So nobody could go back and say, well, who's so-and-so or who's so-and-so? He said this or he said, nah, because them young men trusted me, right?
Right.
I had built the bond where they'd come in and do the interview and they was talking about real stuff in there, right? How they felt about guns, how they felt about women, how they felt about their neighborhoods, and they was giving it up, right? There's the instrument we used, I want to say it was 242 questions.
Okay.
Right? And then we compensated the young men and young women that came in there that did the interview. They got compensated, for the interview.
Was this from the Justice?
This was from the University of Delaware. This was from the University of Delaware. Well, through the University of Delaware, pardon me. It was out of a project from the Fund in New York. So it was a 4-state survey, right? They originally started with New York City, and then from New York City they did Delaware. From Delaware they did Philadelphia, and then they did Detroit, and they were supposed to do Baltimore, but something happened in Baltimore, and I want to say Chicago too, but it was like a 4 or 5 point, and we were the leads. Right?
Wow.
One of the leads. Like they came and got me and a couple other brothers say, nah, y'all need to, Wilmington is violent.
Yeah.
Right, Wilmington is one of the most violent places to be if you know, right? And because of the population, it's just crazy. So the interviews we had the opportunity to do, like we started being the format for other states. Like go talk to Delaware, see what Delaware is doing, because we're getting the interviews, we getting them done. Philly did a good job getting the interviews too, but they was calling us to say, hey, come train these people, come, you know what I mean? Because one, you got to successfully be able to navigate with these. We're talking about a hot hand. We don't want no adolescent that you had to have possessed a firearm. You had to have to possess a firearm or have access to a firearm in the last 12 months. So it wasn't like, man, I had a gun 5, 6 years. No, man, I might have had a gun last night. I had to put my gun down before I came here, right? And we was losing them brothers left and right, right?
Let me share this statistic here real quick. A significant portion of teen violent crime is associated with gang activity, which we just talked about. About 30 to 40% of violent crimes committed by teens are gang related. And that's something we didn't think when we were growing up. I know I'm a little older than you. When we were growing up, we had gangs, but it wasn't like the West Coast gangs coming over here.
Yeah.
Now we see more of that over the last.
Oh, it's successfully, definitely infiltrated, and people are living in the gang culture. Ironically, what I found surprising is that Kent County has more organized gang violence than any other county in the state.
I heard Sussex County was kind of big too.
Sussex County got Crips down there, right? So I was like, whoa, Crips, right? Yeah, Sussex County is Crips down there. So with that being said, it's like Wilmington is, Wilmington is just a wild, wild west, right? Yeah. It ain't a bunch of, it's wild, wild west, whatever block you grew up on. And the frustrating part about the thing about gangs, because sometimes it's not a gang, right? These are kids that are from the same poverty situation, right?
Yeah.
So
Let's keep it real.
You got 6-7 little boys, right? Young men. They from the same housing project. They from the same neighborhood, poverty-stricken, restricted neighborhood. All their moms is getting high. They go to school together, and they say, "Yo, look, that's my boy. That's my boy. We friends. We click together out of survival, right?" And then by the time they 17, 18, the state, the prosecution office, they say, "Oh, that's a gang." No, they're not. That's not a gang. These are 8 young men who decided to build a bond with each other, right? Now, it's a gang when they start running around and committing crimes and, saying, "Oh, initiated." Yeah, that's a gang, right? Yeah. 6 childhood friends who moms all smoke coke and dads all in jail. They ain't no gang.
Right.
They are not a gang. They are people that they leaned on each other for survival. That's not a gang to me. Right. But they're being worded as a gang. So I think sometimes
you can see right through that, especially with the work that you're doing now.
Yeah.
You can see right through that. Are you able to separate them and then do like however you empower them? Yeah.
So like, true story is one young man was from one side of one neighborhood, right? Another young man, they from another side. One of the young men shot the one neighborhood up, shot it completely up. He's coming to my program every week, faithfully. So I never knew this was going on, right? I didn't know that he actually shot the one neighborhood up. So I'm talking to one young man, we ride in the car, and I'm dropping him off, and he says to me, "Man, I never bring this stuff to the program, but man, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's been real hard for me, Tahali. So-and-so shot this house up, man. And that was my people's house, but I don't bring that to you, man. I don't bring that here." And I'm like, "Man, I never even knew that." And they was like, that's what he was on house arrest for. Because he was coming to my group on house arrest, right? And I'm like, oh, snap. And switch my whole...
So how did you handle that?
Well,
how are you handling that?
That's currently...
I figured that.
That is currently... Both of them young men, that is currently going on.
Can you bring them together?
I've already brought them together.
Okay.
I've already brought them together because the reality of it is... I gave it to them like, some real harsh language, some real life experience, and real scars, man. Real scars and real tears. This ain't no make believe here, man. This is not no make believe. The things I'm gonna tell you, the things I went through, bro. This ain't no make believe, man. A lot of people don't survive it. They haven't survived it. They come home on medications. They come home on, not even men no more, right? Like, so it's so many different ways that this thing can go, and I give it to them just like that. Right, I give it to them. Sometimes I'm successful.
Yeah. And
again, I told you I hire people with lived experience. So, somebody else that's on my staff also has a lot of lived experience, right? Both staff members have a lot of lived experience, but it's a little easier to at least get them to listen.
Now, do you see transformation happening? Let me back up. I want to ask this question about you. Now, in my favorite book, is the Bible. My favorite book is the Bible, and it talks about being a salt and a light. As you was talking, and I was just looking at you as the salt. A salt is a preservative, right? Because back in the day, they didn't have refrigerators, right? In the Bible days, they didn't have refrigerators. So how do they preserve their food? Salt, right? So you, as a preservative, you're preserving the community, you're preserving the men, you're impacting them, you're preserving their life. I see you doing that, man. Not just in Dover, Delaware, but throughout the state. And then you already was in these different programs. They calling you up. They're going to call you more. They're going to call you more. You're going to be going to California. You're going to go all these different places. You're going to have that voice, that experience. And I just pray that they don't. I know they're not. I just pray that they don't pay you enough to make you compromise.
Oh, man, come on with that.
But I see you as a. But I see you as a.
This happens.
Yeah,
it
I was joking.
happens.
I was joking when I said that.
But it really happens. I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, everybody, got their own opinions about, what they feel should be happening, the different views. I ran into, I accompanied my wife to a gun violence seminar not too long ago, and it was in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And the person is irrelevant, so I'll leave their name anonymous. But as she spoke about the person, and she was like, "Yeah, he said this, and that, blah 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 blah." She was like, "But I got a bad feeling about him, right?" And I said, "What'd he say?" So she's telling me some of the things that she had witnessed or whatever. So I looked him up. I'm all on Vaughn link. I'm all in Westlaw. Mm-hmm. Let me check this out. What's going on, right? 90% of the stuff the guy was saying that he said is documented, blah, 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 it wasn't real, unless his name was fake. Wow. Right? Because I've learned, because coming across the penitentiary, what we learn how to do. Are you the police? Oh, you're a child molester? Like, what you got going on, right? So we learn how to check that paperwork. Mm-hmm. So we get to digging. Yeah. So you can't come around me and just say certain things, because if I take enough interest in you, I'm gonna start digging.
You're gonna peel the onion back.
I'm gonna peel it back. If I take enough interest in you. Yeah. Right? Yeah, so because I gotta make sure that we're really from like-minded places, right? We're got to make sure we're like-minded people. So we're like-minded. We're like-minded.
We're like-minded. Yeah. You and I are like-minded. So how can we change the generation? Next gen. Gen means generation, right?
Yes, sir.
So how can we change the generation? I know we're about to close the podcast.
Yeah, it's all good.
And I would say, this is excellent. But I want to know, how can we change? Because I want to leave my listeners, the FCC community, I want you to look at them, I want you to tell them, how can we change the next generation? How can we shift? I know we always say the father got to be there, the mother got to be there. If the father can't be in the same house, okay, but the father still got to be there to help, so there won't be no sparks. Can you give our audience something?
Oh, I think the number one thing that we have to give the next generation is real examples of what real life is, like real examples, right? Providing them with resources and outlets, right? So giving them real examples, that means like seeing a mother and a father married, right? That means seeing, a dad going to work, a mom going to work, coming home with union and loving on each other, like it could be real, right? It could be a real thing. Now, a lot of it, we don't see it, right? So giving them real examples, it helps. So that starts with us making sure, who your partners are, you loving on them, and we showing them, right? We leading by example, right?
Yes.
So resources, making sure we got resources, that outlets for them, right? Whether, I don't care what kind of resources, if that PS5 is keeping him in that house and not running around, he go to school, he's getting his grades right, she getting her grades, she want to just play the game, let resources, right? You know what I mean? Hey man, let me put you in, open them up to new horizons. Like, we taking kids to Hershey Park and they say, I've never been out of Dover. That means that we need to start doing things that's letting them see the world. Like, some people are at certain ages and haven't never been on an airplane before, right?
Right.
So we're saying, okay, let's offer them resources and new opportunities. What can we do to take 10 of these little kids on a trip to Texas, right? Let them see it.
So how can FCC, anybody watch this, how can they connect with you with resources with NextGen 302?
Well, you can connect with me through my email. That's T Nichols, TNICHOLS at NextGen302. That's NXTGEN302.org.
This is good. We're gonna help your organization. We're gonna help spread this thing. Hopefully we're gonna try to get their link to your website.
Okay.
Put it on the bottom of this podcast.
Yeah, no problem. That'd be amazing. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me.
This was excellent. I'd like to thank everybody who watched this show today. I don't even want to call the show this empowering and part of the life story of Brother Tahali Nichols, his story still being unveiled. It's still showing. This guy is powerful. He's powerful. You hear the passion. You hear the passion. We are like-minded. Everybody in this room, we're like-minded, and we're making an impact. Thank you for joining the Father's Coach podcast.